you know, on the Hangouts. You've talked to them on the FAMs. You've kind of watched. I won't even say the transformation because Ino and Jerome obviously started off in their very first 30 days booking their first 90 cabin group. And everybody likes to go fast. Well, when you go fast, there's a lot that you have to learn along the way. And Miss Essence, who just joined us, is the reason that I had called this training together is because Miss Essence is a engineer by trade, and she is a new agent. And she had been sitting back and kind of watching, because as engineers tend to do, they're very analytical and they don't like to do anything until they have the entire game plan, everything from A to Z, picture perfect. So she was sitting back until I got to personally meet with her and talk with her for the first time. And anybody who knows me obviously knows I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like, I have so little patience to sit and learn. I just want to do, that sometimes I jump right in. And so I just gave her a little bit of feedback that I thought it would help to try to remove a little bit the engineering hat and plunge into travel and not worry about knowing every little thing day one, that, you know, just go out and even if it's difficult, just plunge in. Well, she plunged in, and now she has got a group ready to go. She actually got on the phone with Carnival and has secured a 15 cabin group. And there's all these people now that want her to book travel, and she's like, okay, I told, never let them see you sweat, but let's make sure this gets done properly. And she's going to be a superstar. I already could tell from the first time talking to her. Don't tell me how, but somehow I have a good read on these things. I've been in the people business 25 years. We'll get more into that because I don't want to really, I want to value everybody's time, but we can certainly get into these stories about how I've kind of been drawn to people that have gone on to do some amazing things, and including Ino and Jerome. That's an interesting story in and of itself. But with that, you know, I'm going to let Jerome and Ino take over here, and I'm going to mute myself. They've earned the title of the group booking king and queen. They have done over 1 million. I mean, $1 million was a while back, so I mean, it could be significantly higher now. And they don't only do groups for cruises, of which they've got 6 big groups. They got 2 big groups going out on Thanksgiving simultaneously, one on Carnival, one on Royal. And you know, they've got a lot of all-inclusive groups too. Yeah, every time I talk to Ino, oh, I'm getting another 75 persons for Rio in Jamaica, so it's the kind of problems and stories we would all like to have, myself included. And so you guys, thank you very much for taking out of your time and your schedule, which is busy booking clients, to speak with our agents. And you guys take over. I am a pupil. And let me see. Let me unmute you too.
I've already got it recording.
Dave is an administrator. I'm muting myself. And thank you once again. I'm leaving it all to you.
Hi, everybody. Well, thank you for taking out some time to just hear our story and take a few words of our advice. First of all, I don't think I had a chance to, but Essence, welcome to the family. Great job. Let me, one second.
Jerome,
Yeah.
what we might have to do, since you and Eno are on two videos, like in the same house.
Oh, it might be that. Okay.
Yes. When one of you speaks, the other one mute, and then when
Yes.
the other one speaks.
That sounds better. Absolutely. Okay. So welcome to the family. Great, and congratulations on your early success, and that's just the beginning. But I totally get it. For everybody, groups are very rewarding. It's rewarding working with the people, rewarding financially, but it can also be scary. I know very much about that because just as Faraday said, within a month we had our first 90 cabin cruise. That was very overwhelming. We didn't want to make mistakes, and we wanted to make sure it was done right. And fortunately, we had a year to work with that group, and so it wasn't a rush for us, so we had plenty of time to do that. I'm going to put myself on mute just so that Eno can say hello as well.
Hello, everybody. Okay, he turned his speaker down. I think that's much better. I just want to say to all of you that I know group is scary, but is okay. His speaker is not. Hold one moment while we do this technical difficulties with this technology. Are you muted? No, just mute yourself. Oh, okay. So I probably need to get out this room, but we'll figure it out. I'll mute myself and go to his computer. One moment. Can you guys see me and hear me? Great. Okay. So I just wanted to say that although group sometimes seems very scary, it is very rewarding. One of the main things that you have to do is just be very detail oriented. You have to make sure that you're keeping all of the information not scattered all over the place, but in one location. That's why we have that CRM. Organization is going to be key. Don't be afraid of the process. The process works, right? It may take some time getting used to stuff, but the process works. And once you do it one time, the rest of it is going to be easy because you will already have everything implemented. You will have the structure. You will have, you would have placed everything that you need in a particular order. So you do it one time and then it's just keep repeating. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. So don't be afraid of it. At the beginning, it's scary because it's overwhelming. It's a lot at once to try to do, but deal with the process and know that you have people such as my husband and I that are more than willing to help you with every step of the way. If there's something that you're bumping your head in and you don't get it and you don't understand it, we are here to help you. So doing what we're doing right now is just to help you with the process. So take a deep breath. You're going to be okay. You're going to do great. So I'm going to let Jerome keep talking and I'm going to sit somewhere.
Okay. Well, all right, let me see if I can hear myself again because suddenly I can't hear myself. Okay. All right. Well, let me first talk about a couple of things that this is basically just like an overview. There's so much to really take in when you're dealing with groups or working with groups, but we want to kind of give you an overview and just kind of open ourselves to questions to give you some pointers of what we did as relates to groups and managing them. So we first start out with, of course, talking with our clients. It's key that you talk to your clients and find out what they need. Obviously, the dates of their travel. And we're talking about right now primarily cruising. And I work with cruise. Our niche is really cruises and all-inclusives. But when it comes to cruises, which is I think what a number of us will be working with, it's key that you talk to your client, find out their needs, find out the dates, and find out what their past cruise experiences have been. Whether the group will include kids or no kids. These are things that are going to be key. What are their favorite cruise lines and why? And listen to what your client is saying. Ultimately, what this is going to do for you as you become better and better at this is you're going to be matching your clients to the correct product. Which cruise line to offer them, which cruise ship to offer them. Things of those nature is going to be key in your success when because they are considering you. We're all travel agents, but Inocencia and I quickly adopted after learning from some of these agents that are making six figures that truly what we are travel advisors. And so our clients are depending on our advice, and our advice has to be based on knowing the product. So just last night, for instance, I saw Carnival Cruise Line has a whole list of ship inspection dates. We try to go at least every 2 to 3 months. We are on some kind of ship inspection date. It's not a you've seen them all type of thing. When you go to these different ships, and even sometimes the same ship because you missed they are huge and you don't catch everything. You're able to speak with confidence to your clients about why they should go on certain ships. You get a sense of the product, whether it's cruise line versus Royal Caribbean versus Norwegian and some of the other brands that are available, like Princess, for instance, or MSC. We haven't been there yet to see it, but we're looking forward to watch, seeing that product as well. So knowing what your client needs are, what they want, and matching them to the right product is going to be key to your success as well. Now, when it comes to the actual creating of the group, there is two main ways of doing it. You can go online and create the group, but I don't suggest that for anybody. The first time I booked a cruise online where I logged into any of the cruise lines and booked was about 6 months after I joined the business. Everything I did over the phone. It's way too complicated. You have to take their training. You can do it. You can figure it out. Essence, you're an engineer, so you could probably figure it out real easy with the logic that's involved in it. But it is complex, and sometimes you can end up causing a problem that they have to fix when you try to do it yourself online. Each cruise line has a department dedicated just to groups. The people that are manning those lines are experts at their particular cruise line. And what's key about that is that what I found in working with these different cruise lines is while it's all the same process, they all do things differently. And then on top of that, every few months they're changing with how you do things, or this procedure is now tweaked to try to make things better overall for the process. So I highly recommend everybody that is booking groups, use that groups department. They have been very helpful. When I get on the phone with them, I always learn something new. I've never got off the phone especially if you spend time talking with them, engage them, treat them like they're your partner, because that's essentially what they're trained to be, is your partner in this. Because Clea says that 80%, I think it is, of all cruise bookings come through travel agents. So we're keeping them busy. And so that's why they have departments specifically designed to handle helping travel agents serve their clients. So please don't try to do it yourself online. You can if you dare to, but to be honest with you, there's so much to learn, so much to get familiar with each cruise line. It's best that you kind of take their training by listening to and working with their cruise department first. There was a lot to pick up on how they operate, and everybody has their own nuances from booking the cruise to how you get payments processed, how you berth cabins, things of that nature. So definitely use your, instead of trying to do it online, And we can certainly show you how to do it online because I've done it now. It's much better to get on the phone with their groups department. I can't stress it enough, and handle your groups through the groups department at least for the first 6 months as you get acclimated to the cruise line and the products and their procedures and things of that nature. Certainly, when you have time, take their courses at your own pace. Don't worry about trying to learn all there is about Carnival or Royal or Norwegian. If you're pacing yourself, there's several modules that they have. The more you pick up, the better you're going to be able to serve your clients. So definitely work with the groups department. You want to answer? The one thing I wanted to just mention to you as well is when you are speaking with your clients, and let's say they need 20 cabins for their family reunion cruise, always book at least 10 to 20% more. With these groups, you can definitely cancel. There's a certain date that you can cancel the rooms you don't need, but it's always best to lock in more rooms at the current rate that you're speaking to them about it than to try to add later, because then the rates will possibly go up from the time you realize that you need more. So always book 10 to 20%. So most of the time, if somebody tells us 25 rooms now, we're at a stage now, and you will soon get to that stage where if a client tells us that they need 50 cabins, we're typically booking about 75 to 80. What we're doing, this is long term, until you're used to it, is that we're not only using that booking for that particular client and their needs, but we're also, because we're locking in those rates, we're also selling that cruise and on the side, if you will. That way, if you already have a group, you might as well take advantage of marketing that on your Facebook accounts, email campaigns, so that group can serve your agency as well as your clients. So that's something to think about, but that's down the line, because that gets involved with a little bit of regarding making sure the deposits will cover the extra room cabins that you are asking for. So that's a little tricky, but that's something to think about down the line. I also wanted to just mention to you, make sure once you get, because I've spoken to a couple of agents that didn't do this, make sure you get a copy of the contract sent to you. Once you've booked a group, there should be a contact sent to your email. They usually do it while you're on the phone. Usually I wait until it hits my email. I open it up and make sure that what we discussed is actually in the contract itself, so that I don't have to get on the phone and retell the story and get somebody to correct it. So if whenever possible, if you have the time, let them send you that contract so that you can make sure to review it before you get off the phone with them. Once you get that contract, key thing, pay attention to the dates. There are due dates on those contracts. Deposit date, in some cases a second deposit date, and then a final deposit date. With Royal Caribbean, there's usually 2 dates on their contracts, the deposit date and the final date. But in actuality, there are 3 dates. There is a date that you need to berth your cabins by. I still don't know why it's not there, but you need to ask them what is the date for berthing cabins. Now, I'm using a term that some people may not understand or know or are familiar with when we say berthing cabins. When you are booking a cruise for a group, there's usually an initial deposit, typically 30 days after the time that you contact the cruise line to book that group. So if you're calling on January 1st, by February 1st, all of the deposits are due for the rooms that you ask for. So if you ask for 10 rooms, typically the deposit is anywhere between $50 to $100. It's usually about $50 for groups. So for those 10 rooms, you have to 10 times 50. You have to have $500 deposits into the cruise line to hold all 10 of those cabins. And then after you have that, it's usually about 90 days out prior to the cruise date itself that you need to, no, I'm sorry. it depends on the cruise line, actually, the berthing date. It could be, for Royal, I think it's, if I remember, 160 days out prior to the cruise date, where you'll need to have at least $500 collected for each cabin. Once you have $500 collected for any given cabin, you are able to then add, what you're able to do is add names to that cabin, and birth dates. You'll have to have the name and birth dates of all of your clients that are going to be in that cabin. When you add names to the cabin, and as well as their birth date, that's called birth in the cabin, because you've added people's names to actual cabins. Up into with the deposits, all you're doing is holding the money in a group space. Individual cabins have not been allocated by name yet. So birthing has to do with, once you have enough $500 for a cabin, you go ahead and add names to the cabin, and you have to have their birth date as well for those cabins. So that's what birthing has to do with. As you are collecting money, and typically you're collecting money in advance of the dates that are given on the contract. Make sure you're giving yourself plenty of time for these dates. So if you need to birth cabins by, let's say, March 1st, you're telling your clients they need to have all of their money that's necessary to birth their cabin by February 15th. You give yourself at least 10 to 15 days. Typically, depending on how far out the cruise is, and typically my wife and I are booking well in advance for many of our clients, we're asking for that money about a month in advance. There's a reason for that. It gives you cushion, because everybody is not going to have that. Somebody's going to have a story. Life gets in the way. They're going to call you and say, I know you said March 1st, when you know it's really April 1st that you really need to be birthing that cabin by. But I need another week or so, and you let them know. I'll look into it. I'll talk to the cruise line. You become the hero when you get back to them and say, okay, I can give you another week, when you knew you had really a month. But if you just say it right away, oftentimes, and it depends on the client itself, they will kind of take advantage of it. Well, if he can give me a week, then that was his schedule, not the cruise line schedule. So you have to kind of make sure there's a sense of urgency that you maintain when you're talking with your clients, so that they don't take advantage of that. So definitely give yourself plenty of time prior to the actual due dates, at least 2 weeks. You also need that amount of time to process the payments, because you're responsible. The cruise line does not take payments from individuals. You have to contact the cruise line and process those payments. Those payments are usually credit cards. Please only accept credit cards from your clients. Do not take cash from your clients or checks, any form of cash from them. What you're essentially doing is taking their credit card and processing their credit cards directly with the cruise line. You can speak to your own accountant, but or IRS. But what will happen is, if you start collecting money into your own account, I don't know if any of my wife and I went through experience of opening up a business account for a travel agency. Once they knew it was a travel agency, we were in their bank for several hours answering questions and going through appropriate forms, because apparently, there's money laundering that sometimes people do. So collecting cash for trips is never a good idea. Always let the paper trail be from their credit card to your vendor. That's the best, easy, stay out of trouble way of handling collection of money. So sometimes when clients don't have a bank account, or rather a debit card, what we tell them to do is go to Walmart and get one of those reloadable debit cards, put it on that, and give me that card instead. Please try to stay away from collecting cash. Keep yourself out of trouble, and it's a much cleaner process, is what we're trying to say. So definitely do that. Make sure you're paying attention to those dates. I have to say this a third time. Make sure you're paying attention to those dates. We just worked with one of our Travelution clients that didn't even have a copy of the contract. They didn't even know there was one to have. So that's why I want to make sure everybody was aware of that, because sometimes we take it for granted that people know this. Make sure you have a copy of the contract. Look up those dates. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time to make sure those dates are met, meaning those payment dates. So that's key when you're processing these payments. When you're processing the payments, you can do it online as well. You can go to the Royal Caribbean, Carnival, any of them. They all have payment, but you can also call it in. I know we're having a Travelution University. We certainly will get into more details about, especially the online portion. It's kind of hard to do this even with the Zoom because, you know, I would like to have people with their, if you go to Travelution University, and we highly recommend when Farah announces it, that you come with your computer so you can work along with us so that you're not just taking notes, you're actually experiencing how to do these things. Please make sure you come with your computer, your laptop, or whatever to make sure that you're doing that. So birthing your cabins is something that you can also do online, or you can, of course, call them, or you can email the cruise line. There's special departments that once you have the names and the, usually you need the names, address, and the date of birth of each of the individuals and their gender. And they actually make you specify the gender because obviously some of these names are unisex and they don't want to make any mistakes. Those are the things that you primarily need to birth cabins. So make sure you have that information available. With, like, for instance, Royal Caribbean, they have what's called a shoreside representative, SGRs, that are assigned to your groups. So when that takes place, so you have a person that you work with as it relates to your group. So you definitely can use your shoreside group representative. Different cruise lines call those representatives different names, but with Royal, that's, I remember off the top of my head, that's what that is. Make sure if it's all possible, there are payments. Typically, you are establishing payment dates with your clients to make sure that these cabins are paid for well before the final payment date. If possible, see if your clients will agree to automatic payments so you don't have to keep calling them back. Okay, that January, we have 3 payments in the payment plan. Can I now take that additional $100 out of your credit card in January, and then you're calling them back in March? Can I now, if they see if you can get them to agree to automatic payments, that reduces your time of contacting people regarding the payments that people are making during the course of the payment period. That's what we try to do because your time is valuable. As Essence is already experiencing, you're going to have several groups at one time. You can't keep calling all these people or acting like a collection agents. We're trying to remind people of their payments. If you have the CRM that we discussed the other day, that is an awesome tool. Travel eSolutions is the CRM that Travelution has provided for us. That software will allow you to automatically send reminders to your clients. So if you haven't gotten connected with that CRM, get connected with it. That service might be an additional, I can't remember if it's an additional fee to use the automated. Some of the automated features are there, and some are you have to pay, I think, an extra $10 a month for. But the time you save with these automatic emails is well worth $10 a month. The earlier, and my suggestion is that you start using that CRM when you have just a few clients, so that you can get used to the software before because then you'll get so busy that you don't even have time to work with it to figure out the software. So use these softwares, get used to them while you have fewer clients to kind of work with that software with, and then as you grow, you'll be more comfortable with it. So again, if you can get your clients to agree to automatic payments, that would be great, so that you don't have to contact them. They don't have to contact you. It's already done. The CRM will do the reminding. The CRM will also allow you to send receipts of those payments, because every time that you take a payment, you need to show your clients that the payment has been received and processed. So that's key. The one thing I do want to mention with taking payments with Carnival is if you do process payments online with Carnival, the payment is not considered final until you get an email from Carnival saying the payment has been processed and approved. With Norwegian and Royal, you know right away it's been approved. With Carnival, it'll say on the screen, approved. What they really mean is that all the numbers that you put in there, you had 16 digits in there, the validation, the expiration date looks fine, but then they process it on the back end and send you a confirmation email. So don't send your client, because I've done this, so I'm hoping you don't do this. I sent the client saying, your payment was approved, here's your receipt. And then I got an email from Carnival 5 minutes later saying that payment was declined, and now I had to kind of backtrack. So wait for the confirmation email from Carnival. It's usually within a couple of minutes that you get it. Because I was processing a whole group and I was doing it as I was going along, I had to kind of backtrack on two of them, and it was no big deal. It was expiration date issue, and they had no problem with that. So just wanted to make sure you are aware of that. The other thing I wanted to discuss with you is deposits, especially when it comes to Carnival. Carnival will oftentimes require just $25 a cabin. Never tell your client $25 a cabin. Minimum $50. $25 is easy for people to walk away from if they decide not to go. $50 is a little bit, people can absorb that, but they'll also think twice about walking away from it. Never require just the minimum that the cruise line is requiring, especially if it's just 25. If it's 50 or above, that's the route that you go. You'll get to a point, and this is for each person to make a decision on, but once we've done the work to advertise the cruise line, get you booked, and you are now have a deposit, if that person backs out of that cruise line, they lose that $50 deposit. That $50 deposit becomes a cancellation fee that comes back to you. That is not imposed by the cruise line. The cruise line technically will give it back, but you've done the work already. So that's up to you to decide how you want to know. If somebody's giving a $300 deposit, we'll give them all but the $50. That's what we are doing now. Because our time is valuable. Everybody imposes a late fee or a cancellation fee, and that's what we really just started doing that about 6 months ago. So that's something for you to consider. But if you're doing the work already, if they decide to back out, you've lost all your time and effort trying to processing them. So that's something that we've also moved into as well. And as long as the clients know there's a cancellation fee, then up front, then that should be no issue. We've never had a problem with that issue at all. So what else do I want to speak to you about? Extensions. Cruise lines do give extensions to these dates. You just have to call them in advance. And typically what we find is the more money we have sitting at the group level of deposits, the better they're willing to work with you. I've had whole cruises, Faraday and Dave noticed because we were in Mexico, cancel on me. I think it was a 90 cabin cancellation because we were in Mexico and we forgot to process the final payment, not the final payment, the final deposit. And so we panicked, and I had to borrow Dave's phone because my cell phone wasn't working in Mexico to call the cruise line. And because we had such a significant amount of money already in there, I think it was $4,700 was due, and we had $4,000 in there. So they were literally getting ready to return all $4,000 because we didn't have the $4,700 that was due for the first deposit. They ended up just going ahead and reinstating the group. So even in those circumstances, if you have the money in a significant amount of money in there, they will work with you as far as extending the dates that are in those contracts. The key is, of course, paying attention to those dates. If you see that your clients are not paying as quickly as you thought they would, especially when at the first deposit level, call them and ask for them for an extension. As you're receiving the deposits, put them in. Go ahead and pay them into the cruise line so they can see that you're working the group. They're willing to work. If you don't have anything in there, you're probably going to have they may extend it a little, but not as much as I've had it extended. I think as much as we've had it extend the initial deposit extended 60 days if I remember correct with Royal, but they saw that the money was progressively coming in. Don't be afraid of. They're there to work with you. They're not your enemies. They're really there because you're their business. Like I said, 80% of their business is coming from you or representatives of you. Fortunately, Travelution is a partner with CLIA, and so Travelution has set up strategic relationships with our vendors. So when they're talking to you, they know they're talking to Dave and Faraday, and they don't want Dave on the phone with them if somebody's messing with their agents. So you have backing, is what I'm trying to say. Ask them for what you need. Be reasonable about what you ask for, especially based on the numbers that are coming in. They are willing to work with you. So with cruises, obviously everybody knows that there's a lot of money to be made with cruises, but the commissions is just the first part of this deal. That the money that and I have been able to make is not just based on commissions. It's based on the upsell. That's the huge part where you can really make serious money with these groups. The upsell. What I mean by that is the excursions that you sell to the group. When you're talking to the group leader, for instance, well, you're having a family reunion, you're going to Jamaica. Why don't you let the family know that you're going to Dunn's River and do it as a family group? Well, that you get a percentage off of that excursions. And so if the family decides to go as a group or even individually, or as many of them as possible, if you have, I think, up to 30, they will have an individual bus just for that family, and they will take them there. It'll be like a private group as opposed to joining a boatload of other people that are just happen to be coming off the ship. So shoretrips.com, shoretrips.com is a vendor that Travelution is lined up with, a preferred vendor that will actually set up a group for you. What that means is, if you have a family reunion, I'm just using that example because it's easy, that's going, the Chisolm family reunion is going to be on a Royal Caribbean sailing out of Port Canaveral. Short Trips knows all of the itineraries of all of the ships. They will actually, once you tell them which ship and sail date is going, they'll actually create a website just for that group. And that group can actually book into any excursions that are taking place along that itinerary. And you don't even have to be involved, but you get the credit for it, the credit and the commission for it. So that's work. That's money that's working for you, a website that's working for you. You're getting the. They can either contact you and say, hey, I saw that email link that you sent from Short Trips. I'd like you to book me on Dunn's River Fall, and you can take care of that for them. Or what that website will give them the option of doing is do it themselves. They can pay for it themselves, and you're getting the credit for it because it's your group. So that's one of the upsells. Another upsell, especially if any of your clients are flying, you speak to them about pre and post stays at hotels. That's another commission, a point of commission for you. The hotels that you book them into, especially if they're flying in, because you don't want to take, you have to let them know they don't want to take the risk of missing the ship because their flight was delayed, we've had that happen with people. So definitely market the pre and post sometimes, especially if they're coming into someplace like Orlando and they're from the north and they haven't seen Disney World. So after they get off the ship, they spend a couple of days in Orlando, or if they're flying, especially like if they're flying into San Juan. While the cruise ships typically don't leave San Juan until I think it's 8 o'clock. Coming into San Juan is such a beautiful place, such a beautiful port. It's worth it for them to come in at least the night before and have dinner in San Juan. Sell the destination, not just the cruise, is what I'm trying to say. When you do that, when I say sell, I'm not a salesperson, so let me back up, because I came into this business because it wasn't sales. What I'm saying is, talk to your clients about the amazing things that San Juan has to offer. Intrigue their interest, and with the combination of the flight and the hotel, now you're making an additional commission from there. So typically, Short Trips, so that you know, let me back up, their pricing is very competitive compared to if they tried to book their excursions on the ship. And unless you have a certain number of people, you do not get commissions from excursions from when your clients book on the ship. You do not get any commissions. With groups, there's a special department in each of the cruise lines. If you have a certain number of people that's going on the same excursion at the same time, you can get I think it's 5%. With Short Trips, if I remember correct, is 10%. The other thing that you want to upsell is Signature Cruise and Travel we market door to door. Once you leave your door, you're covered. We've taken care of everything that you possibly need. So the other thing that you want to look at is transfers. We have Carry, C-A-R-E-Y. That's the company that I use. That is a limo service that can do limos. It can do shared rides. It can do dedicated vans for groups that are coming in at the same time and transfer them to the cruise port. And so if they're flying into Orlando to Port Canaveral is about 40 minutes away. They got to get there somehow. You might as well make commission on it. So carrier is one of my primary, but there are other transports. So out of a cruise, we have the cruise, we have the hotels, we have the air, we have the transport, we have the excursions. When we first started, we were just thinking one thing. Now we're thinking about 5. So that's all coming into the piggy bank for you. And so with that upsell, when you're talking about the total experience, that's where we've been able to really boost the initial, just the 13, 14, 15% commission that you're getting just from the cruise line. Now what Carnival has recently done is they're paying commission on the next cruise voucher that you can purchase. So when your client is on the cruise ship, if there's offers where if you make a small deposit towards your next cruise, you'll be able to your clients will be able to buy that, and you get the commission on because it's your client. And that whenever they do sell, that commission goes to you because they were your client from the original sailing or booking. So this is all this. They just announced this. So keeping up with those emails that you're getting from the vendors is key because it'll allow you to say, hey, while you're on a cruise, I know you like Carnival. Go ahead and get that special discount. Spend that extra $50 and do your next. You set up for your next cruise, and we'll talk about it when you get off. But then you'll get a commission off of that $50 or $100 that they're putting down towards their next cruise. So these are all huge steps that will take your commissions and explode them just because you are adding value to their trip. You're giving them full service, and you're using high quality vendors to do that. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that you don't leave money on the table when you're not dealing with groups. Register your sailings. Carnival has a rewards website. As you book your clients, groups or otherwise, add those bookings to that reward site, and you actually, that from dollars to free sailings, they're offering money towards that. The thing is that you have to register it. They're not going to automatically do it just because they know you booked it. Roy, all of them do it for the most part, and there's either cash value. Even the hotels are doing this. Number of the hotels, we just came from Moon Palace. I can't remember the figure, but it was like hundreds of dollars that Moon Palace was putting on the table when you register your guests. So think of the back end as well. Don't leave money on the table on the back end. You booked your client, they went on a great trip. Now register that trip with the cruise line, with the all-inclusive, and with, oh yes, and my wife just reminded me, even with CLIA. Register your cruise bookings with CLIA because CLIA is giving you credits and monies and I think cruises as well, or credits towards cruises as well. There's money to be made that's well beyond just the one commission from the cruise line. We just talked about 5. There are actually more, but in the interest of time, it's already 1:47. I know we wanted to open up to some questions, but we wanted to just share with you. Okay. Okay, so my wife is going to come over. She has a couple of things to share as well. Come on, sweetie. The better looking one comes online now. Now the ratings are going to go way up.
No, stay right there. I don't have much to say. One of the things that there's just 3 things that I want to say to you. Number 1, make sure that when you are you're booking your cruises or whatever it is that you book, right? Automatically, the information that's gonna appear on their system is gonna be Travelution's information. It's gonna be Travelution phone number, and it's gonna be Travelution address and email. Make sure that you are indicating to them that the information needs to get to you, right? That way, if there's a contract that needs to be approved, if there's documents that need to be mailed out, that is being mailed and shipped out to you. On too many occasions, and that happened to us at the beginning, We are waiting for clients' documents, and the documents were shipped to the office in Jacksonville. That was because we did not put the proper mailing information and or phone number. It's okay that they have the host agency information, but all of those things needs to get to you so that you will be able to service your client properly, and you're not all over the place trying to figure where things are in a panic. That's number one. Number two, in reference to credit cards, make sure, and I'm repeat, make sure that you are getting the credit card authorization form completed. Do not don't do any transactions with anybody credit card unless you get that form. It must be signed. Otherwise, don't do it. Don't take verbal, because is your word against somebody else's word in terms of how much they told you to charge and all of that. So avoid all of those issues by making sure that you have it in writing. When people call me or us and tell us, oh, just charge my card, I say, send me a text or send me an email. We're gonna follow this up in writing, because voice thing, I probably hearing 600 when they told me 300. I don't want those kind of issues. So prevent all of those hassles by doing that. And thirdly, when we say to you to use the resources that you have from the different cruise lines and stuff like that, these books right here, they are unbelievable, and they are free. They are the travel agent guide to the cruise lines, and all cruise lines have it.
Yes.
Make sure, and they are free. You could ask them if you want 20 of them. You could ask them for it because they are free. What this does, it has all of the information about the different sailing in there. When the ship is sailing, you don't have to drive yourself crazy. You could go in here, you could know exactly the sail dates. It also have information about the particular ship, like with the deck plans. I don't know if you could see it, but it has the deck plans and everything. So if you're trying to know where to put the people, what cabin, if they say, well, the cabin is 6D, and you're like, well, what is a 6D? And I don't know what category it means. If you go to the deck plans, I don't know if you could see it. You could see it.
See those?
Okay,
Yeah.
you go to the deck plans and you will know exactly what they're talking about. You will know if they're speaking midship, forward, or aft. You will know exactly. So this thing here, this could be your lifesaver. It could be your Bible, to know when it's time to berth the cabin and where you need to put your group. You could go and you could pick. You will know exactly where these people are going to be located because you have these. So make sure that you go to the portal and order them. I mean,
it's free. Yeah.
There's tons of material that the cruise line gives you. There are marketing materials. All of it is free. The only thing you need to do is to go to the portal in the marketing section and order them. They have flyers, they have postcards, they have banners, they have books that you could give out to your customers. Just get them. You put your little sticker on there with your name and stuff. If you want to, if cruise is what you want to do, use the material that they are providing to you for free. And don't forget, do not have them mail the material to the host agency office. Too many boxes of good stuff gets to Jacksonville when you are in Ohio. Okay, and they ship it to you for free. So it doesn't make any sense for them to ship it to Jacksonville, and then the host agency or you may have to pay to get it to you. So just do it from the beginning. This is the host agency, address information, but this is where I want it to be mailed. And on that note, I'm gonna sit my happy self. I'm so proud of him. I given him the let him do what he does best, and I stay in my lane. Thank you, guys.
She's absolutely right. These travel agent guides are literally right next to me at my desk. I use them all the time. I didn't get into the details of when I'm picking cabins. I'm looking at, there's maps of each of the ships in here. If I'm trying to get groups together, I know what categories they ask for because I studied the book and say I want this, this, and this because I know they're all on the same deck. So that's key information. I'll give you one last thing before we open it up to whatever questions you have. The sixth way of getting paid when you're booking, number 6, insurance. Key. Get insurance for your clients. We use AIG, Travel Guard. Half of them will take it. Guess the commission, 25%. 26, that's right. We just learned it's 26%. One cruise, 6 ways to get paid. And more. We're just talking about the first 6 that's key and valuable. So with that, thank you, Faraday and Dave. That's pretty much the overview we wanted to. We're more than open to any questions that you may have.
Jerome, what I'm going to do, because I see Kelly from Royal Caribbean has joined us.
Oh, our friend. My lifesaver.
We love Kelly. And I don't know how her afternoon schedule is. This is her first time, by the way, doing a Zoom. So before we go and take it to questions, I'd like you guys to meet our fabulous BDM from Royal Caribbean. You'll be getting to meet her at our university coming up on the 9th. And as you guys know, we totally love the Royal Caribbean class of cruises. We went on the inaugural, Jerome, Dave, and myself, inaugural Harmony of the Sea. It's like a city at sea. It doesn't even feel like a cruise ship. You feel like you're within a beautiful city. And as a matter of fact, Essence, you'll feel right at home from New York, because we've got, you've got, what is that one part of the ship? Central Park. We've got Central Park on the ship. All right, Kelly, I'm going to try to unmute you, and let's see if you can say hello to everybody. Oh, where'd you go? I just saw you. I was going to unmute you. And hold on a second. All right, Kelly, I think I've got you unmuted.
Yes, it says I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
We can. Thanks for joining us. I know you got a really busy schedule too, but
Okay.
I didn't think it would be a full group training without getting you to jump on if you were available to share with booking groups as it applies to Royal.
Well, I appreciate that. Can you see me on video?
I don't see you on video. We hear you though.
Okay. I don't see myself either, so I was just wondering if my face was abnormally close to the computer. But anyways.
And if you, Kelly, if you use screen share.
So.
Oh, there might be a button at the bottom. It says share video on your screen, Kelly. And then also there's a share screen at the bottom if you want to share your computer screen or presentation with everybody.
Okay. Well, I'll do the share screen for right now. I'll kind of go through the fundamentals of booking with us. It says I'm sharing my video, but I don't see myself, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show you everything. But can you see this now?
No, I don't see you sharing the screen yet.
You don't? Okay. I love technology.
First time Zoomer.
Okay. Here we go. Is it sharing?
There we go.
Yay.
Sharing, and I'm going to mute myself out so you're not going to hear me now.
Okay. So I know you guys dug a little deeper into groups, and Jerome is awesome with all of his information. I'll kind of go through some basic fundamentals and then make sure that you guys know how to find some of the resources that we have available to help you grow your groups. It's a fun video to show. Hopefully you guys all got to see that. And that's part of our new Royal Caribbean University, which hopefully you guys have started. You can access it through Cruising Power. Can you hear me okay? Okay, awesome. It's always hard when you don't have any interaction. It's in Cruising Power, and there's great benefits to it. We've changed the University of WOW to Royal Caribbean University. We've broken it down into 2 to 3 minute chapters that really dig deep into the brand, into each class of ship, their selling features, into groups, into our weddings, our suite program, basically everything that you need to know. You get your bachelor's degree, and then you can get your master's degree. And once you complete that, you get 10 CLIA credits if you're trying to, get your CLIA certification individually. You also get a lot of extras like priority invites to seminars at sea or to inaugurals. You get a complimentary room package when you sail yourself. You get priority VIP check-in. So there's a lot of benefits over and above just getting to know the product. So if you haven't started it, please make sure that you do start it. Quite honestly, I finished it in 2 nights when I didn't have anything else to do. So it is possible to get through it pretty quickly. But so we'll start with our agenda. So groups, I know that you guys already know the key benefits to groups, identifying group types. If you haven't sold one, maybe where to begin, and then how we can help you out with that. Of course, the key benefits are it expands your client database. It grows your business a lot faster. It generates future business because you can, groups tend to, once they've traveled once together, they like to travel together again. You can also utilize our Next Cruise program for your groups. So even if they're not going to travel as part of a group, but they just want to book their own vacation, they can get, a great onboard credit offer for their next cruise. And really that's where their best pricing is. Of course, it increases your bottom line, increases your agency revenue and your individual revenue, and it's a greater repeat business. Groups, like I said, they tend to travel every year, whether it be a family reunion, an incentive, but it's a great base of repeat business. Major types are a fee, which is like a family reunion type of thing, a promotional, which might be something that's done with a radio station, an incentive group, which is something that is done by a company incentivizing or rewarding their employees. And then there's one that's not listed on here that's an ongoing educational group. And I know a lot of people don't realize there's real estate companies that do it, pharmacy companies. They can get credit, they're their ongoing education credit, and that would be coded as a Group O. So anything that's going to be an onboard educational thing that they have to do mandatorily every year to keep their license or something like that, we do have that as well. But the easiest place to start is an affinity group, which are people who all share common interests, and whether that be a community, a church, a family reunion, usually those are the best to start. So once you have your group space, marketing it effectively is very important. So you have to make sure to identify the goals of the group. What it is that they're looking to do together. Are they going to need meeting space? Are they going to need public venues? Are they going to need cocktail parties? What are their goals that they're trying to achieve by organizing this group? Analyze your database. See who you already have in your database that you think would be group leaders, or I always say if you find the right Pied Piper, they'll basically sell the group for you. Brainstorm marketing ideas. Determine your marketing budget. I'll be honest, most groups that I have agencies doing, if it's outside of an incentive group, they do a ton of marketing on Facebook, and we know that it's very, very inexpensive or free, depending on how much you want to put towards marketing it. But that's something that I could partner with you on. If you devise a marketing plan that you want to promote a group for, please bring that to me. And I do have co-op funds that I have to spend, and I'm happy to create that plan with you and pay 50% of the cost. So you have to prioritize a group's action plan. And I have a great cheat sheet for that, which I'll be happy to email to Faraday, and then she could share that with you. And then create a monthly, quarterly, or annual timeline. I know a lot of times affinity groups are not going to book that far out, maybe 6 to 9 months. However, incentive groups, they're booking 2 years out already. I have agencies who have groups booked on ships that aren't even open for sale yet. So it is possible to do that depending on what the needs are. Effective marketing is really the key. And this is a great screenshot of different sources and organizations that you might not think about going to, but basically all of these have group potential. And I'll be happy to send this whole thing to Faraday. Just might get you thinking about, oh yeah, bridal shops would be a good thing, garden clubs, singles organizations, sports organizations, alumni. There's just, honestly, the possibilities are limitless. Great brainstorming sessions, start with you at the agency. All of you saying, who do we know? And then where do we go? So who do you encounter on a daily basis that might be a potential group for you? And where are the opportunities? Could be a car dealership, looking to incentivize, individuals with a Royal Incentive Reward Certificate, or looking to reward their top sellers. Every group doesn't have to be 100 rooms. It could be 8. So I know we like to think big, but sometimes starting out small isn't so bad either. Honestly, one of the best resources to use, I would say, is called Facebook stalking, right? I do it for agencies myself. I'll follow them on Facebook to see who they're promoting, what they're talking about. But I'm sure that you guys have friends that post their vacation pictures on Facebook, and you're thinking, wow, they're on a great vacation and they didn't book that through me. So who did they go through? But you can gather a lot of information about their travel interests, where they're going, and then follow up with that, build a relationship with them through those venues. All kinds of local business journals, local and city newspapers. I know that you know, the big newspapers really aren't as effective, but a lot of the community and local ones are very effective for marketing and just seeing what kind of events are going on out there. Power, invested a lot, and we're trying to make it much easier to book groups. But hopefully, you know, once you log into Cruising Power and you go to group travel, it will bring up kinds of different tools for you to use. So it will bring up our group amenities. You can request group travel protection, request a group, redeem coupons. The group shore excursions, we do pay commission on shore excursions, just to clarify. If the entire group is doing the same shore excursion, we pay 10% commission on that. If the group is doing all different things, we pay 5% commission on that. And all you have to do is basically register the group with group shore excursions. And when the clients go and book their shore excursions, you do get automatic commission on that. And some of the benefits of booking our shore excursions, I know that you guys sometimes use third-party vendors, but clients can cancel up to 48 hours in advance with no penalty whatsoever. They're first on the ship, or sorry, first off of the ship for the shore excursion. And when they book a shore excursion with us, we know where they are. So if there's any delay, bus gets a flat tire and it can't get back, if they've booked it through us, we know where they are and we will hold the ship. If they book through a third party, we have no idea where they are, what they were doing, and if something happens, we can only hold the ship for so long. We do group photo packages, and I mentioned all of our group policies are on there. There's a great new tool in Loyal to You Always, which hopefully you guys have all bookmarked. It's probably the best resource out there. It's www.loyal, L-O-Y-A-L, the word to, the word you spelled out, always.com. And that has our new and improved Groups Your Way guideline. And it's about 7 pages, but it answers all of the questions. I know that there's been a lot of changes now that we offer a new non-refundable deposit. So it will answer all the questions for you, whether you're booking a non-refundable group deposit or a traditional refundable group deposit. So make sure you download that form and keep it. It's a great resource. It has all the FAQs that you could ever have. Anyways, yes, it's a good thing to use. So our program, I'm sure you guys are aware of that, and it's our group, what you can get for group points. So it provides you another selling tool to put together groups and making their cruise vacation memorable. I'm going to show you the sheet in a little bit, but you know there's 2 sides. There's travel partner facing benefits, and there are client facing benefits. And even if the group falls below minimum, anything that the client would get is protected. Anything that you chose to get for yourself obviously is not. And that's just if it falls below the 8 staterooms. Now, some individuals or some groups don't know anything about GAP. Some have cruised a lot and it's all about the GAP. So we have, you know, lots of different options which you could hear. So the left-hand side of the sheet is all of the client-facing benefits. So that would be like the chocolates, the cupcakes, the onboard credits, day at the beach, wine and cheese trays, cocktail parties, those type of items. The travel partner benefits, which are the marketing funds, fundraiser programs, accelerated tour conductors, category upgrades, all of those are not protected should the group fall below 8 staterooms. And again, this sheet is on Cruising Power. Hopefully you guys all have it. You've printed it out. If not, I'm happy to email a copy, but it is all available within our booking engine. So when booking groups or handling them, it's important to ask the right questions as to what amenities are going to appeal to them, because agents are very quick to offer the onboard credit right away. And as we progress and you guys get to know more and more about groups, I'm happy to sit down and I have a class of doing the math. And it's basically doing the math on your group and figuring out what's going to leave the most money in your pocket without giving everything away on your gap points in onboard credits. So find out what's most important to them. Maybe they have to have a cocktail party. Maybe it's a bottle of wine. But honestly, there's some workarounds too. So there's ways to manipulate your gap points that I'm happy to deal with on a case-by-case basis. All of those tools and resources are in sales and marketing and our training and benefits. One-stop pricing is, I'd say, the best place to go. And it lists, I know I showed this to you live before, but we'll list one-stop files. You can see the row, it has it for all of our brands. But if you go to the lead pricing and gap list, what it's going to do is download in an Excel format basically every single sailing that we have open for sale. So if the most important thing to your group is a high number of gap points, if you're familiar with Excel, you can filter the columns and only look for sailings that have 6 gap points on it. 8's a little bit unheard of these days, but they're out there on some sailings. Or if it's the time of year, but they don't know what, they're open to January, February, March, you can easily filter out by ship, by destination, by price, whatever it is that they're looking for to make a commitment to that group. It's fast. It's a lot faster than calling our group department or going through Cruising Power and pricing every single group individually, right? So it's a good way to narrow down their choices. Another thing that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of is, I know you're part of Ensemble, and they have an extensive headquarter group list that you guys can sell into. Especially for speculative space, I would recommend that you refer to what Ensemble has at a headquarter level versus trying to take out additional space on your own. It causes double the inventory to be held up for groups that may or may not pan out. Certainly if you have a true affinity group, a family reunion or something like that, then feel free to go ahead and take out your group space. But if it is a speculative group, please refer to the headquarter group sailings. And if you don't have that or it's not easily accessible, I'm happy to send that. Just please let me know. And we have continually expanded Espresso to be able to manage groups. It's getting to the point where you're going to be able to book who is going to sit with who for dinners, pick what type of inventory that you want. I know it was a little complicated before and cumbersome because you had to call on the phone all the time, but we've made incredible enhancements to it. So please get yourself familiar with it. And if you need individual training on that, I'm happy to do that. Or there is training online as well that will help you. And feel free to call me. That's what I am here for. I can't tell you how many phone conversations or emails I've had at 10 o'clock at night trying to close some group business. But really, you know your group best and what's going to motivate them and get them to commit, to make payments on time. As Jerome said, and I love that he said, don't chase the people that are just looking for $25 deposits, because it's very easy to walk away from $25, as we know. You know, try to collect full deposits as you can. It really gets people more committed. Those bookings are way more likely to stick than if they're paying the smallest amount that they can. The same thing with air, especially when it comes to Alaska or Europe. Those are high ticket items. And if your clients do not book their air at the same time that they book their cruise, that booking is 95% likely to cancel. So I don't care how they book their air. If they book it through us, that's great. That counts towards your revenue. We can fly them in the day before, fly them out the day after, whatever days they want to do. If they have a certain airline that they like, you have that choice. And then another great benefit to booking air through us is if there's any delays, cancellations, world events, happening, that an airport is closed or there's a mechanical issue and they miss the ship, it's our responsibility to get your clients to the ship. If they book air on their own, it's kind of up to them to get to the first port of call. But if they book the air through us, we'll put them up at a hotel, fly them to the next destination to join the ship. And again, it counts towards your revenue. Tips for a successful group: match the vision to the vessel. Make sure that you're not recommending a ship to somebody before you know what their group is truly looking for. Make sure that you've identified their needs. Promote it early. I can't say that enough. A lot of people hold group space and then wait until about 6 months out to try to promote that. And at that point, our revenue team is looking at the group and wanting to take back the space. Make sure that you review all of your documents, which I heard you guys talking about it. On top of it, make sure that you're collecting money ahead of time and getting names ahead of time, and don't wait to the very last minute, because we know that there are a lot of work to manage, and it's just easier when you carve out a little bit time each day to make sure that you have all the documentation that you need, that you've collected all of the money, that you've assigned the right staterooms, that you've done your dining, taken care of their needs, their cocktail parties, booked private functions, whatever it is. Because your group is special, and if you make them feel special, they'll come back to you each and every time. Ability is key. Look, we know that sometimes some groups are a little challenging. You need a little bit more time to market. In those situations, please let me know. I've gotten option extensions before for some of your agents who need a little bit more time to market. So I just have to beg revenue to let me extend the date. But we can extend dates for deposits, for final payments, within reason. It all depends on how well the ship is sailing, or selling, sorry. Set up. Make sure that if the group has any needs ahead of time, like if they need a hospitality desk, or if you're escorting the group that has a lot of demands, make sure that you set it's called a pre-con meeting with the group coordinator on board the ship. So the minute you get on board, you meet with the group coordinator on board, and you guys kind of go through everything and make sure that you both have the same information, that functions are in the right rooms at the right times, and they're really a great liaison for you if a table is set up incorrectly, or you need to change the time of a cocktail party or change the location or something like that. Make sure that you have reached out to your group coordinator on board the ship, set up that meeting ahead of time, and whatever their expectations are. And that's something that we can do. We can arrange before you even get on the ship if you need it. So again, that's on a case-by-case basis, so please feel free to reach out and ask if you need any help with that. And then make sure that you assign your gap points by final payment, because if you haven't, it's not to say that we can't get it done, but it does become more difficult to get it done. So make sure that whatever you've decided to do with your gap points, that you have assigned those by final payment date. That you guys are familiar with marketing methods and, you know, some things that you could do are first time cruise nights, like the first time or never to cruise market is huge. 80% of the world's population has not cruised, and that's a huge market to tap into. Bridal shows are great, past cruisers, events where, you know, you can reach out to anybody who's sailed on a Royal Caribbean sailing at all and just host a thank you cocktail event, and they get to talk to each other. You can create what's called create your own sail. So it's something that you're allowed to do 3 times per year, where it gives your clients an extra onboard credit if they book within a week of any event that you're doing. Now that's per agency, not per agent, and I know that you guys have a lot of them, so you're going to have to be strategic on any big events that you're hosting, and if you want to utilize that. All right. I can't hear anybody. Hopefully you've heard me.
All right, that was awesome. My gosh, I can't believe we got first of all, such great information from Jerome and Ino, and I mean, and Kelly, you just surpassed what my whole expectations of everything you were going to cover. You guys, what we'll do now?
Sure.
What we'll do now, Dave, you need to stay muted here for one person at a time when unmuting to ask a question, or it might be more. Kelly, let's stop the screen share because we got just a black screen.
Okay, let me figure out how to do that. Sorry.
I think at the very top of the screen.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay, and there is a chat feature on here, so if I'm gonna try to allow everybody, like, one at a time, unmute yourself to ask a question, and if the noise interference becomes unmanageable, then we'll move to just putting your questions in chat. So I'm going to mute myself, and if one of you has a question, simply unmute yourself to ask first Kelly, and then we'll move into questions for Ino and Jerome.
This is a
I did not have that.
This is Frank, and I would love to meet with Kelly, and I would like to create a cruise from conception to completion. And that was the main reason why I came on to this call today, was because I have many different types of people that you talked about, such as church groups, and I have 5,000 followers on Facebook that are following me for 2 reasons. One for real estate and real estate investors, and the other one for financial people. And so there are at least 3 or 4 groups that I could get started with right away. Yeah, I see Jerome, you're smiling, and I want to talk to you too, Jerome. Okay, you're smiling and laughing away. For sure, I would like to find out how, Kelly, I can get in touch with you so we can start getting this thing going.
Okay, so my direct email is K, and then my last name, which is Sakyrd. So it's S as in Sam, A as in Alpha, K as in King, R as in Roger, Y yellow, D David, at rccl.com. So that's my direct email. And my cell phone number, which is normally the best way to reach me because I'm in the car a lot, it's area code 678-358-3687.
Thank you.
And do you get my emails? I thought I have all of the agents with your Travelution in my database, but if for some reason you're not getting the email campaigns that I'm doing, talking about, territory events or promotions, I'll make sure to add you in once I get your email.
Kelly, I did not get the word after at. I'm not sure where you are at.
Oh, for my email address, it's ksakyrd at rccl, short for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, .com.
Now I have it. Thank you very much.
Okay, sure. I look forward to hearing from you.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, what is the process, if you can just briefly just talk about the process of the co-op marketing strategies?
Okay. Really, that's on a case-by-case basis. So I am given X number of dollars to use every year for marketing funds. And, it really depends on what you plan on doing. But if you have a marketing proposal that you put together and send it to me, and we have an expert marketing team even that can go through it step by step if it's extensive. If you're going to include television or radio or something like that, they could really guide you in the right direction based on the type of group and what are the best venues to promote it. But our normal allocation is we pay 50% of whatever your total marketing budget is going to be, whether that be to promote a group, just to promote your agency, promote holiday sailings, whatever it is. We can also design the pieces for you. We do not charge to have it designed. Or in loyaltyyoualways.com that I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of flyers in there that you can customize yourself, that you can download and customize with your own agency information. So all I would say is if you're looking at doing any marketing whatsoever, contact me and we'll go through it and see what kind of funds are available. Obviously, the further out the better, because I'm only given a certain number of dollars to spend through the year, and I have to get those commitments done early. But if it's less than $750, I can usually make it happen very easy. It's just once it hits $750 and over, I have to go through a few extra channels.
Okay, that was my follow-up question, was the work with smaller budgets.
Yeah, I mean, I've done marketing co-ops for $25, and I've done them for $2,500. So, yeah, there is no minimum, there's no maximum. As long as I have the money to do it, I can do it.
And how quick is that time frame from the time that we speak about a marketing plan until it's fully implemented?
So once we talk about it and we have come up to an agreement on whatever we're going to spend. I create the commitment right then and there. And once the marketing has ran, I need my plug. Once the marketing has actually hit the market, whether it's Facebook advertising or you're doing a direct mail, because we have to have proof that it ran. So once it's run, say we meet in January and your marketing is going to run in March, right? So I'll create the commitment in January. And as soon as it hits March, whatever the date is, you're going to get a email from our co-op department saying, okay, we're ready for you to upload the backup, which is basically showing the proof that the piece went out. And then you get paid within that same week. So it's once the marketing has ran, you get payment usually within 7 days. Okay?
Great, great. Is there opportunity for, well, maybe this is a question for Faraday, for just to do a collective marketing campaign as a group under, Travelution to do something like that?
Yeah, so it would be any marketing that or commitments that I do would be at the agency level, right? I know that there's a lot of individuals, but I have no way of paying the individuals, so all payments would go to your Travelution, and then she would have to disperse that back. But it would have to be, I guess, an agreement between you and Faraday, or however you guys want to handle that on a case-by-case basis. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? I can't believe I did my hair and makeup and nobody even gets to see me.
Yeah, I told Kelly she'd be on video. Make sure she did her hair and makeup.
It's my best hair day ever. I'm just kidding.
I don't have any questions.
Well, if you guys are done with me, hopefully you guys all have my contact information. And feel free to reach out to me anytime. I would love to partner with you and for your be in business.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. That was awesome. Awesome information, and we appreciate you so much. And I know that all of our agents do. So we'll let you go. You're free to show off your hair and makeup. Your hubby.
All right, thank you.
All right, you guys. And now we're going to open some questions up to Ino and Jerome. Again, we'll do it on the one person at a time, because obviously with this many people, Dave, you might need to mute. Yeah, obviously with this many people, you will have noise interference if more than one is speaking. Ino and Jerome, I think there was a couple of the questions on chat that you could address with, if you can see the chat, you've got somebody asking if you could just request the guides from the cruise lines. So that's an easy one, yes. And they'll have lots of supplier materials available for all of you guys at Travelution University. That's a good time to load up with all the free cool stuff that the suppliers offer. They've got, somebody asked about credit card authorizations, and Ino addressed that. They said that they had somebody signed and emailed the authorization form. Is it okay to just get the card number? So that is good. Ino says, you want to store that in a safe place. Just make sure you got their signature on it. Let's see. Eric is asking, will they be changing the option on the booking site to book cruises? Currently, you can only book 4 people only. They have a group cruise booking option as well as the individual. So I think you're probably looking on the individual one that you can have 4 people in one individual cabin space. Jay's asking, is it possible to get a copy of the form he showed, showing the questions that people typically ask, considering the groups? I think you're asking for like the PowerPoint or the materials that Kelly provided. I think we could get a copy of everything Kelly did. If I'm understanding that correctly. Claudette says, in your group, can you upgrade the cabins? If so, when? That's a great question. I'll leave that to Jerome or Ino. You guys want to address when people want to move, you set them up a cabin for a single, and then they're like, well, shoot, I want a balcony. What do you do with them?
Yes, you can upgrade them based on availability. When we book people, or when we talk to people about booking their cabins, we typically start with balconies. We talk to them about balconies. They have to talk their way down, to be honest with you, because you want to give yourself room to go up or down. Never start at the bottom when you're talking to people, even on an individual sale. Always speak to them about the balcony, advantages of balcony, and then so that you have room to go up or down based on the conversation. But yes, you can upgrade them based on availability.
And in essence, did you have some specific questions for Ino and Jerome, the experts here, while we've got them? I know that we've covered a lot of great information today. So this is your chance. I know there's a lot to already absorb just from what we've covered today on the training.
I do. My specific question is, now that, the cabins are booked and, the flyer is created and we're starting to promote, just trying to get everyone to get their deposits in. I did establish a date 2 weeks before the actual date on the contract. I did review the contract. The rep that, set me up over the phone had made a few mistakes, and I was able to catch that. That's well, let me back up here. I just want to say, Faraday, thank you. Because you're right. I was sitting back just watching everyone, and Faraday, gave me a talk that really, it was what I really needed, because I am so detail oriented, and sometimes I get caught up making sure all of my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed, that, sometimes I miss opportunities. And I'm thankful that, less than, probably 4 weeks ago, she had that talk with me. And then, this opportunity, comes available, and I'm glad I was able to walk through that door at that time. So had she probably not had that conversation with me, I probably would not have been open and receiving, the information and able to capture the opportunity. But so my question was, now that we're at the deposit stage, do I take that Google form or create my Google form at this point? Is that my very next step? That's where I'm at. I'm stuck at that point. So that's a yes.
Yes. Now that you're ready to start collecting names. Now, well, there's 2 types of groups that you'll be handling. One where it's where there's one organizer feeding you all the information, And in that case, you don't necessarily need a Google form. They can send you everything they need in like an Excel file, name, address, all the information you would typically get through a Google form. However, if that person is saying, okay, I did my part, I'll keep marketing to people, but and that's basically most of the groups that we handle. They don't want to have anything to do with the collecting of the money or the information. Yes, you get a Google form set up so that, and you send it to that organizer, and they send it out to their people, and you start receiving those Google forms. The key is processing them because they'll pile up on you very easily. There's usually some sort of Google Forms capture a lot of information, but there's oftentimes you'll have to follow up with a question, especially if you see something that's kind of weird and not so sure about on the form. But yes, get that Google form out, get it to the leader who's working with you, let them send it out, and yeah, you start processing it. Oftentimes what we'll do is with Google Forms, you can download all of the data onto an Excel spreadsheet, so if the group really wants to see the status of things, you can just shoot them an Excel spreadsheet. You don't have to really, that gives them a summary of who's been registered, things of that nature. Yeah, get that Google Forms going. Let that be your feed in. I'm looking forward to when our CRM allows us to have a client base, which is supposed to be coming soon. But yeah, that's the answer to the question. Get the Google Form going.
So after they complete the Google form, then the next step would be trying to get them to get that first payment by the due date. Is that the process that you guys work through?
Correct. One of the things that you need to do is once you get that first deposit, but even on your, we have an echo. One moment. Let me run over to his computer. Okay, so once you, even before you send your flyer, right? On your flyer, you have to make sure that you have the dates that you're gonna be collecting next payment. So you will have the first payment date, you will have your second payment date, and normally we give about 4 different payments. So we have the deposit, 2 payments in between, and then the final payment, right? So as you just have to make sure that that first payment is received, the second payment, by the second payment, the third or the latest, you want to have enough money to birth the cabin. So you have to make sure that if the first payment was $50, that the second payment is about $250, $350. That will give you enough money to birth the cabin, right? And then you're only dealing with the balances with the next 2 payment or final payment. So that is key. So as long as you have that information on there, then in every step, you cushion your deadline, right? So you have that 2 weeks in between the actual date that you want to receive the money from them. Did I answer the question?
Yes, you did. Okay, so birthing the cabins will happen after the first payment.
Right, you need to have a minimum of $250 per person to be able to birth the cabin. Okay. So that's why it's key that by the second payment, you have that $250 because per person, because once that $250 is sort of kind of like they have more stake in the game. So, it sort of like eliminate a little bit people wanting to cancel, again, at that point, they will know if they cancel, they're going to be a fee. They're not going to receive, the full $250. At that point, you will really know who are the people that definitely are in with the cruise. So that getting to that $250 is key.
The other thing I would just mention is we made this mistake once before, especially when we had plenty of time. between the first deposit of usually $50 or $100, we wait no more than 60 days for the second payment.
Yeah.
Even though there's like a year away before the cruise itself, once it's out of their minds, it's kind of it's hard to get it back into their minds. So no more than 60 days for the next payment, which should be at least $200 per person, because $200 per person plus the 50. That's $500, and that's typically what you need to berth a cabin. Sometimes cruise lines have sales where they'll berth cabins as low as $350, but I always target $500 so that they have more stake in the game. So don't wait more than 60 days to ask for the second payment.
And another thing too is that people normally register for a cruise, and then it's like, because it's so far away, they have that out of sight, out of mind type of thing. So one of the things that you want to do is to keep your group engaged. That's one of the things that we didn't discuss, right? I mean, it's so much that we can't cover everything, like here. But you have to keep your group engaged. You could create a Facebook page for your group where you put in stuff in there, and you're just keeping them all excited about this cruise. So there's all of these are what we call touch points, right? If you just take the initial deposit and you do nothing else and you just collecting money, it's kind of sort of like, every time you contact, you have to revamp the excitement. So it's keeping that excitement with the group that, even though they did their deposit, if you have those touch points, they are excited about this cruise and looking forward to it. So you have to make sure that you're not just in the quote unquote what we call collecting money business, but you're keeping your group engaged. You're creating the Facebook page, and it's only for that group. You add in information, you add in stuff about the importance of the insurance. Some of them may tell you at the beginning they're not interested, but if you keep plugging away the reason for having your cruise insurance, right? If you keep putting information of the reasons why they should get into the port, get to the location a day before, or stay in an extra day, you put in all that information in there, again, it can materialize in you earning more money, more commission, because that's the upsell that takes place during that time.
That, and you're adding value for your client. When you send quotes with AIG, if you haven't used them before, those quotes can be sent directly to your clients, and they can pay for it upon receipt. They don't have to contact you to do it. They can if they want to, but these are all touch points for you as you're, like I said, we just talked about 6 ways of getting paid for one cruise. And then, of course, be prepared when you're doing these groups. Groups lead to individual travel. Usually long before the actual cruise, the people are taking other vacations. So by you touching base with them, you stay on their mind when it comes to, we need to go on a vacation. Oh, well, our travel agent just spoke to us just a few months ago about insurance. Let's call her and see what she has. And so every time you're touching base, what we find is we let people know at the bottom of the email, something like that, we handle cruises, we handle all inclusive, because sometimes they think all you're doing is cruises.
Let them know we're full service.
So we're always making sure that they know that we're a full service agency that can handle cruises, that can car rentals. Sometimes they think that's all you do is cruises. So having that little list at the bottom, cruises, period, car rentals, period, hotels, all inclusive. That helps keep you on top of people's mind, and that's what helps generate revenues in between the groups that you're doing. So a lot of our bookings have been from the group cruises. People contact us on an individual level.
Any other questions?
Yes. In my contract, the first payment date that was set, the minimum amount that was due, or it said the amount that was due at that time was like $800 or $900. So if I'm reading the contract correctly, that means that I need that minimum to keep the contract valid.
You said when is it due by?
The first payment I think was due by January, mid-January sometime. The deposit for Carnival is due, I think, by the end of September.
That sounds about right.
Right. And there's that 900 total that you have to keep all the cabins that you have. Okay, yes. So you have to make sure that whatever you collect amounts to that minimum so that you'll be able to keep the cabins that you pull, that you have, that they're holding.
So like with Carnival, what has happened is that there'll be a $25 deposit that's due per person. We collect 50. So if you're collecting $25 for, let's say, 50 cabins, that's required. As long as you get $50 for half the amount of people, you can hold all of the cabins because you have enough deposit to hold it. Those, if you don't get that amount, by that date, you just tell them how much you drop what you don't need, basically. But I always try to hold more because typically what happens after that first deposit date, you'll get more people that are interested, and you have the cabins available because you held them. Because there is by the final payment date is when you can actually start dropping the cabins you really don't need. So don't be afraid of holding more because typically, be reasonable about it because cruise lines don't want to have a whole bunch of inventory to try to sell closer to the sale date. So we try to work with cruise lines not to hold a whole bunch of space that you're not going to sell. That's not fair to them either. But you do want a little bit of buffer so that those people that didn't make up their minds within that same time period, you can say, yes, I have some extra inventory I have available to you. So definitely try to hold as much as you can within reason. And of course, by the final payment date is when you really have to drop. And typically when we talk about these dates, try to execute whatever you're going to do the day before. Don't wait the day of, especially when it comes to the first deposits. Don't call them the day before with the deposits. We made that mistake with, for instance, with Norwegian. We had 90 cabins. They had and each cabin I think was $25 deposit, and they had to process it one cabin at a time. They don't just take the whole amount. And different cruise lines does different things. But with Norwegian, I was on the phone with them for hours because they had to take $25. Even though I had one credit card to give them for each $25, they had to do it one at a time. So it's always best to do it the day before. So we were almost missing our deadline because we had so many 90 times, so we barely missed the deadline with our first one. So always try to come to the cruise line the day before with whatever payments or whatever requests that you're going to make for extension or whatever the case may be. Do it the day before.
The thing is really as soon as possible, right? As soon as you can get it done. Get it done. If you have it and you could get it done before the deadline, just do it. Don't, you have a due date, but don't wait for the due date to do what needs to be done. So
and just so that you know, whatever money you do put towards cabins, technically, as long as it's before the final payment date of, the last payment date, you can always, as long as it doesn't fall below the group number of 8 or 10, you can always cancel cabins that you said I'm going to hold or get back money, return back to the credit card that it came from. You can't tell them to put it to a different credit card. Whatever credit card it came from, that's the one that they'll return it to. So you do have options that are available. Don't be afraid of holding things because you do have options.
Okay, can you repeat that one more time about is this before the final payment date you can cancel?
Correct.
Right. Let's say you sold 25 cabins and you held let's 30. Say 30 for instance, and so you put in enough money to hold 30 cabins. Well, up until the final payment date, you can actually cancel those extra 5 if you determine that you don't need it. Okay, and then you can either apply that money that you applied to those cabins to other cabins, or you can just tell the cruise line to return that money back to the credit card that it was paid from. That's what we're talking about. So the final payment date is the key date, even if you're holding cabins that sell after the initial deposit date.
Right, and that's where if there are individuals that you did the work for and they know that there's a cancellation fee, right, that if they cancel, they're not going to get their money refunded, you could actually allocate the money that they paid to the group. And what will happen is that that excess at the end of paying everything, that will come to you. So you don't have them pay the credit card back. You just use that money, tell them, no, leave it there. I'm going to allocate those funds to the group.
Okay. And then I was speaking, talking with Fairway the other day, and we're talking about somebody has a
Okay.
We were talking about the I don't think I'm using the right terminology. Credits.
Onboard credits?
Well, onboard credits, but then the Carnival rep called it the point, not points. I'm having a hard time remembering.
The gap points?
Maybe that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The gap points. What I did was the rooms that I booked came with 2 points per person.
2 gap points.
Mm-hmm.
And amenity points. That's what.
Amenity points.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
right.
Carnival calls it amenity.
Right.
Yes.
So they called them amenity points. But then when I just playing around in the system, I just wanted to just getting a feel of how the system operate. I increased the points to 4 and noticed that the price only increased $4 per person.
Correct. It's very little. Mm-hmm.
And so when I did call to book, I made sure to let them know I'm going to do 4 amenity points per person, and then I'll kind of allocate that as I see fit. Mm-hmm. But you guys talked about offering the clients, a balcony initially. I would have loved to have done that, but because this is the inaugural sailing, the group, the inventory for the group bookings is only 22 cabins left. Yeah. And so I was talking to the clients, and they said, well, what do you guys have in balconies? And I had to tell them, unfortunately, for the group, there wasn't any more in the inventory, but I could book them individually if that's what they wanted to do.
You can. Yes, you can.
Kind of touch on that, because that was a little bit surprising to me that there was only 22, and then I had to take the interior rooms just to get rooms booked.
So what happens is with these groups, with the cruise lines, is that certain inventory is released to groups, and certain inventories they leave for FIT or individual bookings. Right. So yes, you can book people into balconies and then move them into your group. Mm-hmm. So they become a part of your group. It's just one at a time, as opposed to blocking balconies. So you can definitely move them in to your group, and they will be added to your group as if you originally put them in there. Correct. It's just that what happens is they don't want the public to not buy anything. Because all that's left is interiors. Because what will happen is the travel agents that are wise to the inventory and the most desirable inventory will lock up all the balconies, and then the general public has nothing to pick but interiors. So that because we have the option of moving them into our group, that's why it depends on. There must be it usually happens when sailings are almost sold out, or is a very popular cruise they know they're going to sell, so they won't allow too big of a block as it relates to that. And I've had to do, if I needed more than 22, I had to get permissions from the groups department, revenue department, which is over the groups department, to allow for it more than just the 22, especially if they knew it wasn't speculative, where I'm trying to find clients as opposed to a client has asked for this. You have that, and then there's sometimes people actually will book just two 22 person groups, 22 cabin groups if they need more cabins.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is that when I book them individually, I think the thing that was surprising to me, that if I book 2 cabins, let's just say 2 additional cabins with balconies, because they're not under the group, they don't get the delayed deposit dates. They have to pay the deposit immediately there, and the deposits are higher.
That's right. That's right.
$5.
Yeah.
Correct. Right. And that goes again because of the inventory. And these are, it's sort of like prime real estate, right? So the interior is great, but the interiors are not prime real estate. So they have a certain amount of inventory that has a balcony. It's something that more people desire and people will pay for it. And so what they're saying is that if I'm going to give you this inventory, it's prime, this is what the requirement, is going to be. So if you have a client that really wants the balcony, then, that's the requirement. It has nothing to do with you. Because even if they pick up the phone and try to do it on their own, it's going to be the same requirement.
Yeah, just keep in mind, though, especially with Carnival, I just saw an email from them. I think it's through the end of this month. They have reduced deposits available for cruises. So that even though they may be paying more than the group, I think it's $99. They're doing a special with $99 deposits now. If you do it through the end of this week or end of this month, there's so many different sales I can't remember. But keeping up with those emails and taking advantage of, you have a client that's interested in this or that. That's why I read those emails, because I have these conversations with clients and say I would like to do this or I'd like to do that. And I'm matching the client to an offer that I'm seeing that came in that's available to them. So, hey, there's a special sale. You want to jump on this now type of thing, because you'll have conversation with clients, and that's where that will come into play for you. So Carnival, if you're working with them, does have that 99. So it's not bad. I mean, it's not $50, but 99 is not too far from it.
Right. I think the deposit for the cabin that they wanted was like $200, I think.
Yeah, $99 per person. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so if you could clear up if you book after 8 cabins, you get a free cabin or you get a free bed. I'm not understanding that portion.
So pretty much what it is that every cruise line have a particular ratio, right? So it's for every 8 cabins or for every 16 people, right? Because you could have 4 people in a cabin, 3 people in a cabin. The way the cruise line look at it is that they're only concerned about the first 2. Right. So if you have 4 people in the cabin, don't count the other 2. They're only looking at double occupancy, so that it will be 8 cabin or 16 people, you get 1. Okay, you get what they call the tour conductor credit, which is the TC, right? And so that's really what you need to know. You need to make sure that you're doing that double occupancy. And I'll give you, for instance, something that we just realized when we were putting our cruise together, is that the amount of cabins that we requested, right, was short by one cabin, like 2 people. And the tour conductor credit that they gave us, quote unquote, was 11.8. Hello, like 2 more people, 1 more cabin for it to be 12. Well, we're not going to leave that money on the table. So guess what? We just book another cabin, right? Because why would I leave 11.8 when I need 2 more people to get 12? So, we just went ahead and booked the other one to make sure that you maximizing what you get. I mean, why would I give up 14 people of getting credit on because of just 2?
Just keep in mind that the tour conductor credits that they're talking about can only be applied to the cruise fare. There are 3 portions to every cruise cost. I'll put it that way. It's the cruise fare, which is the commissionable fare. That's what you'll hear it called. Then there's the non-commissionable fare, and then there's taxes and fees. So when you are getting a free berth or a free 16-to-1, they're talking about that can be so if somebody wants to get on a cruise using that, the only thing that money will be applied to is their cruise fare. They're still going to have to pay the taxes and fees, and they're still going to have to pay the non-commissionable, unless there's enough to cover all of that. That one free doesn't cover their whole cabin expense.
Correct.
Now, if you have two, and that same person applies both of those to their cabins, then there might be enough to cover all the other expenses. But so in general terms, if you had 10 interior cabins and you had a 10-to-1 ratio, then the 11th person has enough to get into their interior cabin, but they still have to pay their taxes and fees. But in that same cruise, if you sold 20 and you earned 2, that one person might have enough money earned because now they had 20 cabins to cover not only their cruise fare, but their cruise fare and the taxes and fees. But that one is only referring to the cruise fare. I know it's a lot of information, but don't let people think that they can get on totally free with that 10-to-1 and it was just one that was earned. There's still tax and fees and non-commissionable fares that need to be considered.
Okay.
But also know that the tour conductor, that is something that is for you. That is yours. You control that. You determine how you want to use that. We don't really mention that to the groups when we're dealing with the groups. We don't say anything about the tour conductor to the group leaders. If it's somebody that's gonna go and work and market and drum up whatever, you could do a negotiation with them when you say, hey, if you make sure that your group is on top of stuff, and if you get 20 cabins, or you get 8 cabin or 16 cabin, I will work with you where I could give you half of what your cost is, but it's all dependent on the group, and you just incentivize it to the organizer, right? So but that way you have control over how you want that to spend. If you don't offer any of it to anybody, guess what? That's just more money in your pocket.
Right.
It comes to you.
Essentially, tour TCs are controlled by the travel agent. So, like Martina was saying, we might tell a group, we'll give you every other tour conductor credit earned. So if there was a total of 4 that's possible to earn based on their size group, if they max out all 4, they'll get the first and third one. We'll get the second and fourth, third and the second and fourth. If they only do 3, for instance, out of that 4, then they get the first, we get the second, and they get the third, because just to be fair to them, we always start with them earning the first one. But those tour conductor credits are controlled by the travel agents. The travel agents has to tell the agent, the cruise line, where that money goes. So just keep that in mind. That's extra money that some travel agents don't offer it at all.
At all.
And I never think that's cool or fair, because that's just being greedy, if you will. But let me not do that. For me, it's greedy. Everybody has their own opinion about that. But if you got clients that are that you're benefiting from, give them something back, because ultimately it comes back to you. Come back. So that's just our work ethic, but it doesn't mean that you're bad if you don't do that. I didn't want to sound so.
I understand. When I increased the amenity points to 4 per person, I did let the lead group person know that each person would be getting $25 on board credit, and then the remainder I can either choose to do chocolates in the room, like some of you guys have talked about, or a cocktail party if there's enough for that. The Carnival rep at the time told me that I can't choose my amenity points or my amenities. I can't choose them until after I birth.
Correct.
That's correct. Right.
That's correct.
Right, because you have to earn it first. Once they know how much you've earned, then you can start choosing.
Correct.
Absolutely. And then you have to do that by, like Kelly said, you have to do that by final payment date. When you're submitting all those final payments, you're telling them how to spend those amenities. And to answer the question that somebody asked, yes, deposits are refundable. All money is refundable from the cruise line up until the final payment date. Now, what you tell your clients is different. Like we said, we are now keeping the first $50 deposit because we've done the work already. But if they put $500 towards and they cancel it, then they'll get $450 back. So it is refundable back to the credit card that they applied it to, that it came from.
And then one of my other questions was, I've been navigating through the CRM platform, and I really do like it. I mean, I was using Agent Studio before, trying to navigate that, and that's just really clunky. It's not as robust as this one, and the emails look more professional. I'm stuck in a couple places that I don't understand how to send the emails from the system. I've been sending it to myself and then sending it out in my email, because I think I took about 5 hours and figured out a good portion of it, enough to get my email set up with my logo. And is there a connection with, so I saw that when you set up a group, then it lets you put the clients in the group. Do you guys go through that process in the CRM?
Oh, yes, yeah.
The connection with the crews, I don't understand how maybe I'm putting them in the wrong place. That
we can definitely do with you a one-on-one to walk you through that. Absolutely.
Well, I think that's all the questions I had. My main question was just, what's my next step? And it's getting that Google form out to the lead, and or if the lead is also going to direct some of the clients to me in order for them to make their deposit, and so I can either I guess, just wait for those emails to come in so that I can make sure I have that deposit amount by the due date.
Right. Right. Now down the line, you may want to start thinking about this as well. Since if they go that route where you're the one that's going to be semi-managing the group by taking in their information and processing the payments. One of the things that we've learned is that we charge for lack of a better term, consulting fee, because we're doing their work. And so we could talk more about those details. Certainly at Travelution U, there's a lot of gravy to this. We're trying to save some of it for Travelution U because you got to get there. There's a lot of different money, and we'll talk about that even more. I'm just putting a teaser in, but definitely a lot more when you're involved in doing that part of it. So we can talk about that at Travelution University, along with some other really neat stuff that we're so excited to share. But time is creeping up on us.
Okay, so somebody.
That's it.
What is it? Is it possible to get a copy of the Google document to show? Yeah.
Oh, I thought we. Faraday,
I think Faraday sent the.
One of the questions is, can we get a copy of the Google document? I believe.
Jay, I'll forward that to you. I don't know. I put that training, the Google form training, in the back office, and I hadn't figured out how to download the Google form into the back office, but there are 2 trainings in your back office on the Google form, and I'll email the Google form out to you.
You could send us your email if you want a sample of the Google form. Now, let me let you know, with the Google form, when we send it to you, you're gonna have to complete it as if you are the client, right? And there's no.
When you say complete, they're not gonna complete it.
Well, follow the process, viewing it,
okay.
Because some of it may ask you to put certain information because it's an asterisk, so you can't get past that till you do it. But that's the only way that it's not like we could give you the form and then you could just tweak it and use it for yourself. It's like you have to go through the process. What that will do is give you a basic idea of the layout, so that you could go and create the form so if you could have 2 windows open. I'm sorry, I speak with my hands, and my husband is like, put your hands down, but I'm sorry, I'm gonna try to keep my hand like that. But anywho, have 2 windows open, right? Split your screen. On one side, you have the Google form that we would have sent to you, and on the other side is the one that you actually creating for yourself. And then that way you'll be able to have the matchup. You can I think you could copy, you could probably copy certain information and paste it in yours. So it will save you some time in doing that. But that's the only way that it could be done.
Yeah, we haven't figured out a way where you can take the Google form that we send you and just simply modify it and use it for yourself. You still have to create your own using our form as a guide, essentially.
If you find out how to do that, let us know, because we don't know everything. We just like you guys, learning as we go. But whatever we learn and work, we are willing to share it.
Absolutely.
To cut down on all your bumping of your heads.
Yeah. And Frank, I know Frank has a simple question. Once you set up your Carnival account, Royal Caribbean account, Norwegian account, you can take your client's credit card payment directly through your portal.
Yes.
So once you're set up, there's not the other question, Jerome, that Eric had, he was saying, once the cabin is birthed already, can you add additional cabins? Like somebody comes to you afterwards and you've already birthed all your cabins and they're like, well, I'd like to go with your group. Can you get me in? Is that possible?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about by holding extra cabins just in case. But if you ran out of cabins that was in your group, let's say you booked 10 and you used 10, you can of course add cabins to your group. It just won't be at the group rate anymore.
Correct.
That's why we were saying make sure you're holding some extras, because for us, stragglers always come in. Just 2 weeks ago, somebody called me as the deadline for cabins came in that night at around 10 o'clock, and we processed yet another one and added them to the group. Stragglers always seem to come in because people are talking about it. And as Ina was talking about it, if you're talking it up, and they're sharing it with their friends, somebody ultimately ends up wanting to join, and it's the last minute, and you look like a lifesaver because you had an extra one that you didn't tell them about, which is what we typically do.
At 2017 pricing, but they want to sail in 2018. So it's always great to have the extra because you're lacking in that price for them. So when they come to you at the last minute, you look like a shiro. You look like a shiro because you're giving them pricing that they're not going to be able to find online.
All right, one other hint, because I know time is, think about annualizing your groups, your cruises. What we mean by that is this Thanksgiving, we're doing a Thanksgiving cruise. We didn't wait for a client to ask us for that cruise. We just basically created a group and started selling into it. Well, we call this the first annual Thanksgiving cruise. Next year, we've already booked a group for Thanksgiving, 95 cabins for next year, Thanksgiving, because we're seeing Thanksgiving does and Christmas does two things just for you to think about. Typically, and this is stuff that we got when we were in Las Vegas with these travel conventions, which giving you probably a little bit of the Travelution University stuff, but just as another teaser. Think of Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's it. That's when family is all out and no school or no nothing.
Vacation.
So when somebody contacts you about a cabin, it's usually going to be two or three or four connected to that because they want their family to come with them. And so what we found is that one person interested will usually generate 3 or 4. So the Thanksgiving cruise that we're doing now, each person that called us, they had their son, their sister, and whatever, because they all want to be together for Thanksgiving. That's the same thing for Christmas. And so annualizing these trips, especially cruises, every year they want to start doing that type of thing. Right. Christmas, Thanksgiving, you're creating the group, and usually there's at least one person that's paying full deposit when they do that. You can use that deposit and hold a whole lot of space at $50 because they pay not full cabins. Let me just pay for it. Let me give you my $2,000. Well, that $2,000 can hold hundreds of cabins if you want to. Don't get ridiculous with it, but that's the point is that you can use their money
to hold
a whole
while
bunch
you
of cabins
market.
while you're marketing it.
Mhm.
And so even when those cruise lines 3-4 months down the line is saying great sale, buy one get one half off, even when you do the calculations, your prices are still better, because by then their prices had already gone up, so that 50% off is still not reaching what you're doing.
Correct.
So that's what makes, if you're able to hold cabins for a year. All right, let me not.
We are very excited. For those of you who don't really know, this man right here, I am telling you, the math is beautiful. This industry has been amazing for us, for our marriage. This is the one that will push me, you go, and he'll be sitting in the background. This is my introvert husband who, due to Travelution and the travel industry, he is so bugged. He is so excited about what we are doing. And it just goes to show that if you find something that you are passionate about, it will work.
Yeah.
I always tell people, don't focus on the money. And I just have to say it. A lot of people are too focused on the money. Group is great, but know that group takes focus, time, dedication. You can't be haphazard and do it, I get this today. No. If group is gonna be your niche, make sure that you are ready for it, because it requires time, it requires dedication. The money looks great when you calculate it, but are you willing to dedicate and put the time required to do it right? Right? If you mess up a group, I'm telling you right now, you have lost thousands and probably millions of dollars, because the one time you mess up, if you mess up a group, you're not only dealing with the group leader, but you are now dealing with every single individual that are in those cabins. And if they're not happy, they are gonna let everybody know that I'm gonna say the word, stink as an agency. And they're not gonna wanna do business with you. So make sure that, and that, it has to be excellence across the board. Your customers, your clients need to know or feel that even if they're coming for a car rental, they are your VIPs. You are, even if you're gonna make zero at the moment, you have to bring it. You have to give them 100% of excellence coming from you. Because when they do that and they feel that they are VIPs, honey, let me tell you, they will be sending people to you left and right. I mean, sometimes we are like, oh my Jesus, we're going to need to hire somebody, because we have people that go on cruises, refer people to us, we don't even know who these people are. Right? But it was because of the level of excellent service that they received, they are referring people. So always be on your game. The money will come.
Right.
If you are focused and making sure that you are serving your clients with excellence, the money will come. Don't twist it.
Yeah.
Don't reverse it. Don't let the money be your motivator. I always say it has to be a passion. If you're not passionate about it, I'll tell you right now, you're gonna be frustrated. Step out of it. Quit right now. Friday, I'm sorry. Friday, I'm sorry. But we don't want people frustrated, right? We don't want you to be frustrated with processes. And that's one of the reasons why Jerome and I, together with Faraday and Dave, have chosen to take out of our time to help anybody that wants the help, to help you get to another level, to help you not be frustrated with processes, but to help you through the process so that you could succeed.
Yeah, because together we thrive,
and together we
win.
Yeah. Okay, listen, you guys have gotten a whole heap of lot. It was supposed to be 1 hour, and it is 3:28, and we could stay on here for the longest. But Faraday, I think you need to take it over and yeah, take it over, Faraday.
All right, thank you, Ino and Jerome. You guys got way more than what you bargained for when you tuned in, and I hope you know that that was very. It's 2.5 hours out of Ino and Jerome's time that they have cabins they need to be birthing and deposits they need to be taking, and they're going to have to do double work when they get off of this to catch up. We actually have a phone meeting with Profit Agility supplier in about 10 minutes, and we've got to jump on as well. So thank you guys. If there was questions that weren't answered, call us, email us. Ino, Jerome are more than willing to help and assist. Don't abuse my star agents though, because they got work to do. We've got some things they're holding back for Travelution University. While we're on the phone, by the way, Miss Kimberly Mann from Travel Impressions said, yes, I will be there. I will be there. I'll be happy to. So I haven't even tried to make a big effort yet. I emailed 8 suppliers. Every one of them said, yes, we would love to be there. I'm like, okay, they know that Travelution is special. But I'm gonna, we'll go ahead and bring this to an end. I enjoyed it immensely. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of it. I know I did. Ino, Jerome, thank you so much for covering the things that all of us need to know to proceed and book with excellence, to represent ourselves with excellence, and Travelution with excellence. We appreciate it very, very much. Very much. So, you guys, I'm going to end this so everybody can get back to work. Birthing cabins. Oh, and Essence, don't be afraid to take those bigger cabins, the bigger deposits. Get those bigger deposits, and the quicker you can birth it and lock it in and not sweat it. I was like, as I was hearing Ino and Jerome, I'm like, wow, just people are used to paying that $200 deposit. Just take that $200 deposit and get where you can start birthing those cabins. So everybody, we're going to call this to close. I got to talk to our other suppliers with our wholesale engine. So we will check in with you later. This has been recorded. I'm going to stop the recording. As soon as I've got that, I'll provide that to the group as well. All right. Thank you guys very much. Everybody have a great afternoon. I was just making sure I ended the recording. All right, bye.